And when I was growing up, I couldn't go out and get a job in an office because people wouldn't. It's hard for you to believe, but they didn't hire Chinese people for anything. I probably have been discriminated against. I know I have, but I've appreciated the challenge.
I think sometimes you feel like you're not really part of the group because you're so visibly different from other people in the room. So
in my years that I've actually never been able to get a real job. I've had a couple of contracts that were, and after that I've had to branch on my own because I just couldn't get hired. There's no employers aren't willing to hire someone with unique characteristics.
When I was first looking for articles, I actually had somebody say to me, that Aboriginal women like to have children, and so when would I be planning on having children, and how would that affect my career? Right?
It takes a lot of work, a lot of extra time. The benefit, and it is actually a benefit, being visually impaired, your memory is very, very good. My memory is I rely on my memory constantly, and you just have to, and it's sort of, the nice thing is it's second nature to me.
I think the main challenge for me has been cognitive dissonance. Basically, when somebody has a tension or a stress that's caused by holding one belief and then having to act in a way that doesn't conform to that belief. So having been raised in an Indigenous legal tradition and then practicing Canadian law, that's been the main source of stress in my career, I would say, is that often the place for Indigenous people to have their needs addressed is in court. In bringing the claim to the Canadian legal system, you're also acknowledging the Canadian legal system's jurisdiction in deciding the matter.
In our first year orientation week at the law school this past year, I really lobbied hard to have Judge Patrick Chen serve as our orientation week banquet speaker. He's kind of one of the first people the first year law students meet. And at the end of the banquet, a first year law student, a Chinese young man, came up to me and said, like, "Thank you so much for having him speak to us. It made such a difference to see someone who looked like that on my first day of law school," because I thought going in here that I would see very few faces that looked like me, and I just thought, like, this is a great job and a great career that I get to have to make that difference.
And I've also been able to become the chair of the BC Women Lawyers Forum. And that makes me very proud because I never thought that as a newcomer, now I'm pretty much an old comer, but would be able to lead such wonderful, wonderful women in their quest to become lawyers, this profession that we all value so much.
Probably my biggest achievement that I'm perhaps most proud of is being president of the Law Society of British Columbia and being the first non-Caucasian person to head up the Law Society.
At the moment, I'm most proud of being the first visible minority BC branch president of the Canadian Bar Association. I'm also the first Department of Justice lawyer to hold that position. I think I'm a real advocate for gender equality and racial diversity, so I'm hoping that I broke down some barriers for others who want to also be president or be leaders in our community.
I'm currently working on a case with the Innocence Project on a pro bono basis, and they're working on a case involving someone from my community. The stars aligned where I just happened to come into contact with with the case. Just been really interesting. Like, I don't think that they could have advanced the case without somebody from the community being involved. So that's another case for diversity, where it's like, I'm from this random community, and you know, the Innocence Project came into my office and were like, can you help? And I was like, wow, you wouldn't believe, like, I actually know about the case. It's been talked about in my community since I can remember, because I'm still involved with my community. They trust me. So it's like a very sensitive case, and I don't think that they would open up to even talk about it with even an Aboriginal person from another community. It would be very guarded, the information. And so I feel very fortunate to be involved in that case.